Yo, Mark, so you know I'm recording this?
Yeah,
You're recording too?
against my wishes.
Okay,
Yes.
so in a couple of days, all the illusionist guys are gonna watch you and me talking to each other about Seer.
They're gonna be so jealous.
I know. We've got to do it though. We have to tease them. So I want to start like we said that we'd start with the story of like when I first met you. Remember in Vegas?
I do.
I'd heard rumors about you. I was a little bit worried about meeting you. So I'd heard about you, and I obviously knew who you were, but we never met. And the first time I met you, this is for other people listening's benefit, not for yours. I know you know the story. So the first time I met Mark, the first trick that he showed me just blew my mind. And I remember I chose from my deck. I shuffled the cards. I chose my own cards, a Jack of Spades. I remember to this day. And in the fairest possible fashion, you just was dealing cards, and then you just stopped. And I remember saying, "If that's my card, I'm leaving this hotel." And you didn't even ask me what card it was. You just turned it over, and it was the Jack of Spades. So I left the hotel.
And because we were with a bunch of guys, and I was like, "Where did Madison go?" They were like, "We don't know. Let's find out." And then we ended up calling you. You're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not even here anymore because of that."
Yeah, I just left the planet. But yeah, that kind of that trick had a serious impact on me, because it was like I was surrounded by magicians in Vegas for a week, and I was seeing fucking McDonald's aces and stuff like ambitious cards, and then you turned up and did this thing, and yeah, it blew my mind. So I've been obsessed with it since, and it's something I never leave the house without. So kind of here it is, and it's called Seer now, right?
Yeah, we named it the Seer after Seer is like a mind reader oracle kind of thing, and it's to if you want to look at the Webster's dictionary definition of the Seer, it's in the same realm of like mind reader, oracle, psychic, someone who knows things that they could not possibly know, whether it be knowledge of future events. And I decided to call it the Seer because I think that it pretty much embodies what this amount of work is about. It's not necessarily as visual as some things that I've created. It's more about there's no other way of knowing unless you have this this seer-like, oracle-like ability. And I think the Seer was a fitting name for this material on the project.
I think this is something that's been with you for quite a long time. And I remember we even spoke about ideas before that you've come up with along the way. So it's one of those kind of, it's fair to call it an application, right? So it's not just one trick. It's not just one idea.
Yeah, I can't even call it a concept, because a concept to me is like one concept, and then you show a bunch of different ways of doing it. It's like a concept within a concept, because there's ways that I use it that you can't. It'd be improper to say there's only one way to use it. There's a ton of different ways to use it, and especially on this project, I've actually used it in ways that it's almost like, well, why didn't I think of that, myself? And
yeah.
And it's almost like the ability to have it on you at a moment's notice is something too that I think other ways of doing things aren't as practical or economically. It doesn't make sense to have on you. So to me, it's probably the best way I've used these concepts, is in this project, just because one, the things that I've been doing that I didn't show a bunch of guys, because I wanted to kind of keep it in my back pocket and use it myself. And then when I ended up showing editions, they were like, "Oh, why didn't you show? Why didn't you put this out a while ago?" And selfishly, because I didn't want people doing it. So
yeah, I've had people who've known of the idea mainly because you've told them, and then I've shown them a few things with the same idea, just like you did with me, and then they're like, "What the hell is that? How did you do that?" And then I'm like, "Oh well, it's Calabrese's thing," and they didn't even realize that it was this idea, because it's that versatile. It kind of adapts itself to not just that one principle of. Well, I'm trying not to give anything away, obviously, and it's difficult, but it's not.
No, yeah, it's something that you just kind of hit it on the head. Where even if you know what I'm all about, or you know my work, it doesn't make it necessarily like, oh, I now know how it's done. It's it's not like you watch some of the effects and go, how is he even using it that way? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you watch it and you go, oh, that's a great way to use that. How that's an even better application to what I'm doing. So it's one of those things where I'm using it in ways that you won't even see that I'm using it, and then I'm using it in ways you'll go, oh, that's that's clever, great how he's using it, and then there's ways you go, oh, that's it makes common sense as to how I'm using it at that point. But I like to say it like this: like, for those who know, will go, ah. For those who don't know, will go, what the hell, And that's pretty much how I envision this product. Is I want people, who have my work to realize that there's more to it than what I've just given them. And I think a lot of magicians do that. Is they kind of just they take a concept or an idea and they go, okay, well, I'll do it this way, and I'll do it how I'm shown it, and they don't elaborate more on it. And some guys do elaborate, and they come up with great ideas. In fact, there's a few things on this DVD, on this project, that are other people's material that have been gracious enough to give it to me and say, please use it. So there's a lot of, there's my ideas, or some ideas that were given from other people. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, and it's not just like saying that. It's not just an idea that you've come up with and then thought, I'm going to put this out there. This is like years worth of development and different ideas.
Yeah, I met you in 2012, it was, and there were some of the ideas that were in their infant stages. There's a magician in Vegas by the name of Alex Geyser, who's really well known for his coin work. Incredible, like probably the most magical coin work I've ever seen. And we were sitting down, and I was showing him some of my first work, and he was, oh, this is great. What if you did this? And there's something on there by Alex Geyser that no cards, no coins. It's, you watch it, and I mean, I give credit to him on there, and it's probably the most unique thing on the project, and that's what I'm proud about. Is that it's not just something that I've been sitting on for like a couple months, and I accidentally came up with something and I used it. This has been 3-4 years now, 5 years maybe on it. So
I mean, there's been a few times where I've been with you and you've shown me tricks that have kind of baffled me, and in my mind, knowing you, I think, well, is he using this thing? And then I cancel it out because it doesn't make sense that you did use that thing. And then when you explain that you did, and the way that you did it, I'm really hoping that kind of translates to people who are looking into this idea, because it's not just one thing, like it's not just one trick or one. It doesn't just lend itself to one principle within playing cards or any other kind of things.
Yeah.
There's things that you do with this that you never suspect that it's anything to do with this.
Yeah. I think the one thing I will say about it is, guys, I'll be honest. I'm just going to give away what we're talking about right now.
Okay,
it's the thumb.
It's quite Now everybody's going to just go.
Dirty thumb tip. It's gonna be a dirty thumb tip. It's got to have like cigarette ash inside there, and you got to do. This is all the product is. You just.
So now nobody's got a reason to go and buy it. So.
No, but one thing I will say about the Seer is that the first time I put out a project, I thought about, okay, I want to make it streamlined. I want to make it, where you can do anywhere, anytime, any deck, all this stuff. And there's still stuff like that on this project, but I've also taken a different kind of way, and I think it's through hanging out with certain magicians that have kind of changed my perception of how magic should be done. And to me, hanging out with you, I see how when you perform magic, it's not like someone like I'm a magic whore. People go, show me a trick, and I'll be like, and I used to be that way, and I used to be the kind of like dancing seal that would do it, and I stopped a little bit because I realized that magic doesn't necessarily have to be done all the time, and there are certain ways and times to do magic that is more impactful than as if I was just doing magic, right when you asked me. In fact, I've learned that, let's just say I'm hanging out with my friends informally and they ask to see a trick, I'll say no, and what'll happen is I'll say no, I'll go, maybe a little later, and what's happening is it's the same feeling that you get when you were a kid when your mom was like, we'll go in a little bit to go buy candy or go buy that toy. There's something that builds up in your stomach, that you're like, oh, I can't wait for this. And that's when the magic becomes more impactful than just that instant gratification. And, that's kind of like how I've molded some of the effects on this project, where it requires you to have people to sit down and watch and focus and enjoy it and appreciate it, not just be like something you can do on the fly. Which there are some things on here, like for each trick I have a version that's like a quicker version or like a more streamlined version. But I have one that you could insert into your close-up show, and it requires a formal table and people sitting down and a whole presentational kind of thing, as opposed to it being like, let me show you guys something kind of cool, And I think that there's room for all kinds of performing styles, but I think what's most important is realizing that not everything has to do with hanging out at your local, fast food chain restaurant, sitting down doing a card trick. Sometimes it is nicer to sit down in front of a formal audience. And if I can motivate somebody to go from doing street magic to doing a formal close-up set to whatever, like that's how I started. I saw a magician and I was like, I want to do that for the rest of my life. And I realized, it's just a little spark that you need.
Yeah, I'm kind of. You made me think of. I'm really into those. Excuse me. Those effects where you kind of, you're not forcing it on somebody, but like you said, somebody asks you, and you kind of. It takes their attention. They've got to put the time in to want to watch and see you. I have only a handful of things I like to do, and this is one of them. This is one of those things. So, like with me at all times, I've always got a deck of playing cards. I've got like one of my things in my pocket, and I've also got your thing. So depending on the person and the situation, I'll either choose my thing or your thing, but it's always going to be one of those two things. Right. And it's kind of comes from a place of I love nothing more than the card trick, where I don't need to do anything. I don't need to touch the cards. I can take the deck, shuffle them, do this and this. I won't even touch them. Here's your card. And this allows me to do that. This is one of the very few rare things that allows me to do that. I watched this guy at a convention. He had a big crowd, and this was like Blackpool Convention. He had a really big crowd around him, and he did pretty much like one of your presentations. So he didn't touch the cards, or he touched them. He didn't handle the cards, should I say? So they're shuffling, they're doing this, and this, and then he deals to their card in an impossible way, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, where can I get that? How can I get it?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm selling it. It's £500." And I was like, "What? you guys should just check out Mark Calabrese, because he's not selling technology. Yeah, like this is something that you could sell to a spectator or a layperson. This is technology. This is like next level stuff. When really it's smart, it's clever, it's an idea."
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about it is that like what you said in reference to what you carry on you is, to me, in my opinion, magic. Card tricks. Let's just say card tricks, right? To me, isn't really magic to me, right? And I know it's going to sound, especially talking to yourself and a few other who I consider top level card guys. When they hear that, I don't think you're offended, because I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's certain card tricks that when you watch it, you're just like, what's the point, right? Of even doing that trick. If you have a deck of cards and you're only allowed to do 2 or 3 things, or let's just say 2 things or 1 thing or whatever, why not do the strongest material possible, so that when a layperson looks at a deck of cards, they don't look at it ever again the same way.
Yeah.
And whenever they do a trick, they go, that's nice, but I saw a guy do this. And then when that magician hears that, they go, well, there's no other possible way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's been plenty of occasions where someone goes, I saw a guy do this, where he does this and does that. And you're like, oh, you mean like this? And then you've hit him hard with it, and they're like, wow. So it almost seems like it's not as interesting or important. But when there's those 2 or 3 rare things that you can do, that for example, let's just say with the Advocate, right, which I carry and I do, right, like that's a card trick with no cards. You can just, you know what I mean, like that's one of the strongest things, because you don't even have to have a deck of cards on you, and you can still do magic that is impossible. So what that layperson remembers is, I named a card, and he pulled it out of his shoe or out of his pocket, or it was here, or whatever the effect was. Where a magician may not necessarily be able to duplicate that effect, and therefore want to duplicate that effect, and then have to go, I need to do this and get that effect, and you know what I mean? It's like weird. There's only pieces of magic that I've heard a layperson talk about, and I go, well, I mean, maybe I should start doing that effect, because I've already spoken to 4 lay people already, and they're like, I remember this effect is what stuck with them. You know, that magician probably did 4 versions of Ambitious Card, 5 versions of Card to Pocket, and how many countless, you know, pick a card tricks. But what they remember is, you named a card, it was in my boot. You named a card and it was a different color, or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And that's how I try to mold the effects that I do on the Seer, as well as on the rest of my work. You know, and I think that's something that I've learned from you and a couple other magicians, Tony Chang, Luke Germain, a couple of guys who I try to, you know, learn from as much as possible. Not sleight of hand. It's theory and idea, and what magic is about to me, because magic isn't about the color of the card changing. It's what the layperson feels and what they remember. Watching, for example, you were at New York. I forget when this was, but you and I were sitting down chatting, and it was you, me, Chris Ramsey, and Chris did something. I think he did like a ring thing with the barred ring, and then you said just name a card, and they named the card, and then you pulled the card out of. You made it appear, and watching the spectator how they reacted, it was like, well, shit, I can't even do a card trick now. I have to do something that is on the same level of what material that you and Chris were doing, because who gives a shit how many pick a card tricks you can do when all they're going to remember is, that guy named a card, I named a card, and that guy pulled it out of thin air, that guy took my ring and made it jump across the room and through my fingers. You know, what are they going to remember me for?
And this guy had a fake thumb.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, this, and I did this thing, and or this.
Wow.
Oh.
Almost. You've almost got that one down. You reminded me of something that actually recently that I did, where I was presented with a deck of playing cards. So I said, so somebody's like, can you show me some stuff? I'm like, didn't bring my cards. Obviously I had my cards, but I just wasn't in the mood. So they presented the deck of playing cards, so I used the Advocate. And then, because I'd handled their playing cards, I had your thing too. So once that had finished, it was like, oh, show something else. I was like, I don't know. But I was already one ahead to your thing.
Right.
It was the perfect situation, because like you were saying with the Advocate, you don't even need a deck of playing cards. Like, it's the same thing with yours, really. Like, if somebody else presents you with a deck of playing cards, you never have had to have seen or done anything to that deck of playing cards to perform something incredible, to perform a miracle, you know, something that they'll never forget.
Yeah, and imagine that. Believe me, when you and I first met, I was like, oh, what am I going to show this guy? And I figured, okay, let me show him this one thing that maybe he'll appreciate the most. And obviously, that one card trick stemmed to where we are now. But I mean it more in a way where, like, card tricks are a dime a dozen. People just they hear card tricks, they just think, okay, it's it's garbage. And then when you do something that's actually, you know, memorable, you know, I think that's what speaks volumes to me.
I think with your thing with the Seer, you can kind of I keep saying this, but it's not really about the trick, because when people learn the method or learn the genius behind it, then they're gonna go away just like I did. And you know, when I first found out, I went away and my mind was just spinning with ideas and ideas, and I was practicing this, and this, and there were tons of things that were just coming out of it. Obviously, you'd already thought of every single one of them, but that the idea that it's not just one thing, it's whatever you want it to be, it's whatever you can do with it. I really hope that message gets put across to people. It's not just a trick, it's more of a trick.
That's kind of how I created, the Seer and the effects that are on this project, because I pretty much said to myself, okay, this is what I'm doing with this concept. What else could be done? And if it can be done, let's push it forward. And if it can't be done, if it's not worth it, then okay, then put it to the side. But there's some things, like I said, and to me, it's not about making things easier. It's not about making things less sleight of handy or whatever you want to call it. It's about making things the best effect possible. And once again, like, it's not something that, like, when you see me perform it, when you do it, we're not beating a dead horse. We use it at one time. I'd much rather be a sniper with one bullet and choose when to use that bullet than to have a machine gun and just oozy out magic tricks. Like, it's magic. It's like a bad joke at that point. You're kind of beating that dead horse. And I think that with this project, there's a few pieces on here that you can use the same method, same gimmick, same concept, but it's different magic altogether. It's not just card tricks. There's two mentalism pieces on there. The way it's being used, it just translates so differently than how I've done it in the past.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what people think of it and what they do. At
the same time as wanting people to understand how kind of important it is as an application or as a thing that you have, like I'm trying not to give away what it is, but it's difficult to talk about this thing without mentioning what it is, because it's kind of protecting the secret. But I'm on the fence a little bit about knowing the secret and wanting to keep it, but at the same time knowing how satisfied people are gonna be when they figure it out, when they get hold of it, and when they start using it, because they're gonna experience that same thing that I felt when I figured it out.
And for the people who watch this and listen to this, right? Like, I feel like I'm having a conversation with you more than I'm talking to people for people. But like, I will say this: it's been a weird kind of interaction with you, because one day you're like, Mark, you need to put out this work, and the next day you're like, Mark, don't put this work out. And I'm like, well, fucking pick one. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm still there right now. I'm like, can't believe you put this out.
I'm kind of the same way, and I'm the kind of guy that I'll share anything with anybody, and I really don't care. And you're like, you know what? Don't like. And there are times where you're like, this will do great, and people will love it. And then other times you're like, I don't want people to see this stuff. This is not for them.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting kind of thing, because I know why you're saying that, and I know what you're getting at. But at the same time, it's tough, because I also, there are times where I'm like, oh man, I'm giving this away. This is hurting a little bit, but
but I do think it's good for the people who do get hold of it to kind of know that secret. It will change what they do. I believe so. It did for me. So that's kind of why I think like that. Like, I kind of want to protect it in a way, because it was so vital to me, to the point that since then I've never stopped using it. It's always left the house with me. So it's kind of one of those things I want to protect, but at the same time I want people to appreciate it.
Right.
I guess that's a good thing. I guess that's the best kind of effect. The one that you want to keep everybody away from.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's one of those things where, like, my selfishness gets the best of me, but then other times where it's like, well, you know what? I can't do all these tricks all by myself. If someone else can do it, you know what I mean? If someone else could do better or create better, like, I heard I can't call it a proverb, but I heard an old Greek saying that the world will be a better place when men plant seeds for trees whose shade they will never use, and I think that I might be butchering that saying, but I think what I'm getting from it is that if you put things out there for the betterment of the other people. Like, while I might be able to appreciate it, but whatever happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, forget my name or legacy, but what people can use from there, because what's fooling us now was, what the forefront 20, 30, 40 years ago. Imagine what's going to happen in 20, 30, 40 years. The people will be using your material, my material, other people's material, and where it's going to go. Because I'm excited to see what my kids' magic tricks are going to be, because there's things that are going on that I didn't think was possible 5 years ago, I heard about, for example, I'm only saying advocate because it's something that I think we have something in common about, but like I heard about advocate when he first put out as a PDF or a booklet, and I kind of didn't really think much about it. I said, oh, this is an interesting idea, and then I saw you use it, and I was like, oh, well, that's what that's about, and before that, when it came to that kind of work, if people only knew what guys like Jimmy Grippo were doing, Ricky Jay were doing 20, 30 years ago, if they saw the advocate back then, you know what I mean? Like, imagine where we would be at in magic, like, now, you know what I mean? So, like, I think those things are stepping stones. While they're amazing, it's like having the iPhone 5S to the iPhone 7. Like, the iPhone 7 in 20 years is going to be like, well, remember that piece of junk? The iPhone 7? Well, to us, iPhone 7 is going to be the coolest thing, So I think that's how we should look at magic, as setting the bar for the next best thing and building up,
Yeah, constantly challenging the idea of creativity.
Exactly, pushing it to a place where people didn't think it was possible 5 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years, a year ago.
I think that's a really good place to finish this conversation. So, the Seer. I'm not sure when this video is going out, but everybody is going to watch it, Illusionist, and they're going to know a lot more about the idea and your work. So, excuse my bad throat. But yeah, you got anything else you want to add before we shut down? I think we've said everything with confidence, apart from how incredible that thumb tip is. With the extra fluff inside.
Sounds good. I just hope people enjoy it, and hope people, and the truth is this might not necessarily be the best thing to say, but if you like the material, great. If you don't like the material, that's fine too. If it gets you to think, that's what is most important to me. For example, if you look at one of my effects and go, man, that's not a really great way to do it, or maybe there's a better way to do it, you needed my bad trick to get to the good trick. You know what I mean? However many times it took for you to go from 0 to 100, you needed to get to, need to go up those numbers to get to that point. So, you need to, I'm not saying that I'm reaching for mediocrity, but because I try to put the best into everything I do. But if you see something that, you like, and it makes you think more about it, great. If you see something you don't like and go, maybe what's the better way of doing it, that's just as important. Realizing that there's something else better out there, and realizing that what I'm doing or what someone else is doing, there's a better version of it, or maybe we should work to a better version, because that's a great effect if it was done in a better way or whatever. I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with, it making someone grow, not just, because they learned a new trick, but maybe because they learned, a different concept, or they learned how to, grow magically, because that's a lot of people are not doing. They're not growing magically. And that's most important to me. It's growing magically.
It's a great way of thinking, and as well, I'll say one more thing. I've had quite a few people where I've told them to look into your idea, so they've gone as far as reading about it and seeing like videos, but never actually kind of following that up, as in investing in it. And then they've seen me perform it, like versions of it, whatever, and then they've been like, what the hell was that? And then I've been like, so I told you about this a while back. Right. So I think there's a big difference that needs to be recognized in watching a trailer for something and hearing about something and actually investing and learning the real secret behind it, rather than just what people are talking about and what the trailer tells you.
Yeah, I'll add to a little bit what you just said. When I was younger, I was 16, 17 years old, I used to work for a magic shop, little magic kiosk actually in a mall, and I sold. I'm giving away too much. I sold the thumb tip to a kid. Handkerchief, vanish handkerchief trick. Okay, he bought it. He's like, "Oh, this is great. I'm gonna do it for everybody." He comes back a week later. He's like, "I want something else, but I don't want that thumb thing because the thumb thing was cool, but someone caught me and da da da." And I was like, "Okay, well," and then I did a $100 bill change. Right, using a thumb tip. For those of you who don't know, read a book. Okay, I did a $100 bill change. He went, "What the heck is that?" And I was like, "I told you about this." And I showed him, and he went, "What?" And then at that point, he came back and showed me 40 different things you could do with a thumb tip. And he was like, the thumb tip is his best friend at that point. Where only a week ago, he was like, tossing it to the side. And I was like, you don't realize what you have in your hand until you seen other people do it. And believe me, that's how I feel about a lot of stuff. I do a card trick, a move, a slight, color change, and then guys like yourself and other guys that I hang out with in the city in New York and stuff like that, I show them my version. They go, "Well, watch out this version," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not doing my version anymore." So, or at that point I'll go, "Oh, that's cool, but I'll still do my version because it fits me better," or whatever. Opening your eyes to, you need to see everything before you choose to do one or two or three things. The reason why you have those two things in your pocket isn't because you only know about those one or two things in your pocket. It's because you know about 100 things you can have in your pocket, but you choose to have two things in your pocket. It's kind of like where I'm at too. Is there's 1,000 things I can carry in my pocket, but I carry two things.
I think it's like a journey people go through as well.
Yeah.
Like I've been there where I've had 50 different tricks, to try to decide which ones I'm going to take out tonight. And then through experience,
like I don't need those.
Yeah, you get to a point where all you need is a deck of playing cards. Like for me, there's three things: there's a deck of playing cards, there's the advocate, and then there's your thing, which I'm holding right now, but I'm not going to show.
Guys, he's holding on to the thumb tip.
Yeah, it's a thumb tip. Yeah. That's the secret, man. Can't believe you've given it away.
All right, so have you ever heard of Walter Scott?
I'm not sure.
How about John Scarney?
No.
Do you know who any of these people are?
No.
Okay, well, I'll give you a little rundown of who these people are. Walter Scott was known to magicians as the Phantom at the card table. He had an incredible ability with the cards. He would find cards blindfolded. That's the easiest way to say it. He would find any card you wanted, or fork of a kind, and deal down and find a card. John Scarney, there's a legend that he could cut to any card, or cut to the four aces from a borrowed deck of cards. Now this can be a borrowed deck. If you have your own deck, we'll use yours, but I promise you, there are no markings, no nail nicks, no punches of any sort of this deck. Okay? And you can inspect it if you'd like. Now, I also brought here with me a blindfold. So after you're done inspecting the deck, you can also inspect the blindfold.
All right.
All right? Now, please do what you got to do. Now, as you're doing this, I'll tell you some more about Walter Scott. Walter Scott was known to blindfold himself and find the four of aces or any four of a kind that was called for. I'm going to try to do you one better. Yeah, make sure that blindfold is really legit. Now, Walter Scott had to see the cards first. I'm not going to tell you how he did it, but he had to see what cards he was finding. I'm not going to see what cards he's finding. In fact, I don't want you to even tell me what cards I'm going to find. So I want you to go to the deck and pull out any four of a kind. You can do aces if you want, but let's do something a little better, a little different. Any four of a kind, and when you're done, place those four of a kind right in front of you at the table, okay? All right, now I'm going to blindfold myself for this. And I'm going to need your help a little bit just so there's no way I could, because I really can't see what's going on at the table, all right?
Okay.
Are you happy that I'm blindfolded? I can't see anything? Yeah. All right, cool. So take the four aces, or whatever cards that you grab and place them down to the side, and when you're done, you should have the deck in front of you, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to pick up about a third of the deck. We're actually going to make four piles, so just grab a small packet of cards and give it a quick little overhand shuffle. Okay, that pack, exactly. Give it an overhand shuffle, and when you're done, place it into my hand. All right, so I can just place it. That feels a good. Yeah, perfect. Do that again with the second pile. And when you're ready, just put that into my hand as well. All right. Okay, that's good. Yeah, do this a third time, and we'll do this. Remember, do this 4 times. So take as long or as little as you need. Exactly, and that's number 3. All right. Okay, and the last pile, do the exact same thing. So in front of me, there should be 4 packets of cards. 4 packets, around the same size. Okay, so you should have the 4 of a kind that you decided in front of you.
Yeah.
What I'd like you to do is I want you to take one of those 4 of a kind and place it on the first pile of cards. Okay, and then once you've done that, place the second one as well, and then the third and the fourth. Once you're done, let me know.
Okay.
All right, pick up the first packet of cards, give it a cut, and give it a shuffle. All right, and you're going to basically just do this 3 more times. So give that a shuffle when you're ready, and then when you're done, place that packet in front of you. And pick up the next pile when you're ready, and then do the same thing, and place that back on top of the first pile that's in front of you, and do that with the third one once you're ready, and then the fourth one. Just like that. Now, I don't want to touch the cards anymore up until it's time for me to deal. Okay, let me know when you've shuffled all 4 packets and have one deck of cards in front of you now.
Yeah.
All
Done.
set? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of good. So how about pick up the whole deck and just give the whole deck a shuffle?
Really?
Yeah, the whole deck a shuffle. Give the whole deck a shuffle. Now, let's recap. Let's think about this. You took out a 4 of a kind that I don't know what you chose. They could be aces, they could be 2s, they could be kings. I don't know what they are. You placed them in 4 spots that you decided. You shuffled the entire deck 4 separate times, and then 1 further time the whole entire deck.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that I don't know where the cards are? In fact, I don't know what the cards are.
I think it's pretty absolute.
Are you still happy that I can't see a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Place the deck into my hand. Place the deck into my hand when. Yeah. Are these cards face up or face down?
Face down.
Face down. Okay. I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna try to find the cards. You ready? Let's see. You're either in deep suspense or bored.
I'm intrigued.
I hope
See
so.
this wins.
It's 2. Take those cards.
Okay.
Now, these are the 4. There are 4 cards in front of me. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is there anything else on the mat?
Nope.
Okay. Name your 4 of a kind for the first time.
The 3s.
3s. So the 3 of clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. If I got one of the 3s, that'd be impressive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I get a 3?
You did.
Okay.
3 of
So there
hearts.
should be 3 of hearts. Did I get another one?
You did. The 3 of spades, the clubs, and the diamonds. That was insane.
Don't worry. It's like 15 years of my life. No big deal. Right? I'm not impressed with that. So you noticed 2 moved, 1 didn't. Who's Jules?
That's my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend, of course. It's interesting because that's his girlfriend too. It's interesting, buddy. It is Jules, ladies and gentlemen. Jules. There you go.